Hi everyone, my name is Brielle Manzolillo and I am just finishing up my time as the Wildlife Policy Intern with the Wildlife Society. This presentation will give you a quick overview of what my role as policy intern looks like. So just a little bit about me to start. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in environmental studies from Pace University in 2017. And during that time, I started a human dimensions research project on perceptions of urban coyotes in the New York metropolitan area. And after I graduated, I was brought on as a research assistant to continue that work, and it ended up being published in 2019. And this work ultimately connected me with my graduate school advisor, Dr. Courtney Schultz. She was looking for someone to join the Center for Human Carnivore Coexistence at Colorado State University. So that's when I went and started my master's program with a concentration in natural resource policy. And my thesis research focused on the policy strategies for wolf reintroduction into Colorado, specifically looking at lessons that could be learned from past reintroduction areas. And also during this time, I was the first student representative for the Urban Wildlife Working Group, which is a part of TWS. And after graduating this past summer, I joined TWS in August as the policy intern. So just some of my main responsibilities as policy intern. I assisted and supported TWS efforts on the Hill, focusing on our policy priorities such as engagement on Recovering America's Wildlife Act, the Migratory Bird Protection Act, and the federal appropriations process. This included outreach to congressional staff to push for co-sponsorship of bills, as well as engaging with our partners and our members through our Action Center. Another main responsibility was document writing. I drafted a lot of different forms of communication for the government relations team, including fact sheets, policy briefs, articles. I also helped draft testimony for the recent Recovering America's Wildlife Act in the Senate. And I also helped draft the monthly Conservation Affairs Network newsletters. I also regularly participated in our coalition calls with partners on our policy priorities. This included weekly calls with the Recovering America's Wildlife Act and Migratory Bird Treaty Act partners, and our monthly calls with the USGS. I also got to work on a joint project with our communication and operations intern, Alexia. Our work focused on mental health and diversity, equity, and inclusion in the wildlife profession. So some of the key products that I worked on during this time, I ended up publishing 14 policy-related articles on the TWS website. I also got to work on a number of policy briefs. This one in particular is on regulation changes to NEPA. I also got to work on one that focused on regulation changes to the Migratory Bird Treaty Act. And these are used to inform members and partners. So we did end up soliciting these to our membership network as well as to those partners on our coalitions. Along those same lines, I also helped draft form letters that are being used in our Action Center. So these are used by our membership network to send to congressional staff for engagement. This one is specifically on the Migratory Bird Protection Act. I also helped draft regulatory comments as well. During my time as intern, we submitted comments on regulatory changes to NEPA, to the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, and we just submitted comments on regulatory changes to the Endangered Species Act as well. And like I mentioned, I also got to help draft that testimony for the recent RAWA hearing. I also got to work on fact sheets. In particular, I created this one for the Migratory Bird Protection Act, and it's being used by both our membership to inform congressional staff on this bill, and it's also being used by our partners on our coalition as well. Then the joint project I worked on with Alexia, we started a series called Wellness and Wildlife. We did weekly social media posts every Wednesday highlighting mental health awareness in the wildlife profession. And then we ended that series with a webinar panel with TWS members sharing personal experiences as well as resources on mental health in this field. So coming into this internship, my main goal was to learn as much as I could about wildlife policy and conservation organizations. And I also wanted to continue to grow professionally as well as personally. This was my first experience working for a conservation organization, so I was really interested in seeing how orgs like TWS are run and if I fit into that culture of these types of organizations. So from this internship, I have gained and improved a lot of different skills. Specifically, I learned more about working on a team. The government relations team works really closely together, and that was something I really enjoyed. I came from an academia where a lot of my work was very independent. So it was a nice change, as well as a learning experience, to have a team behind me that I could go to and also collaborate with. I also gained an in-depth understanding of organizational structure. Like I said, my main goal was to learn how companies like TWS are run, and I feel like I am definitely walking away with a greater understanding and appreciation for how these organizations are operating. In general, my knowledge of government relations is definitely improved. Before this job, I had little understanding of how conservation organizations engaged with Congress on legislation. During my master's, I learned a lot about the theory and history of natural resource policy, but I had never really seen it in action. So this was definitely a way to understand the inner workings of passing legislation. Like I mentioned, during this internship, writing was a huge part of my job. I wrote almost every day, and I got to write really diverse types of documents and hone in on those different skills. So I'm super happy to be walking away from this job with a great portfolio of writing pieces. I also got to enhance my communication skills as well. I got to engage with members of congressional staff and our coalition partners regularly, which is not something I had done before. So I think this has definitely helped me improve my professional communication. I also got to organize an event during this internship. The webinar I ran with Alexia was the first webinar I've ever organized. So that was a learning curve, but also something I really enjoyed and learned a lot about. And I definitely want to have organizing events as part of my next job. And same goes with social media posting for our weekly Wellness and Wednesday posts. Social media is such an important aspect of jobs nowadays. So I'm definitely grateful to have had that experience while working at TWS. Now that I am wrapping up my time with the Wildlife Society and I've learned a lot about wildlife policy and government relations, I can say that I've really enjoyed my time being part of this team. And my goal now is to continue working in the policy field, whether it be for a conservation organization or a federal or state agency. Currently, I am still searching for the right opportunity that will fit these goals, and I hope to find that fit soon with the help of these great skills that I learned during my internship with the Wildlife Society. And lastly, I just want to give a huge thank you to TWS, with a special thanks to my super great supervisors, Caroline Murphy and Keith Norris. They both helped me and guided me so much through this internship. And I'm definitely super appreciative of being given this opportunity. And if you would like to contact me, my contact information is located below. And I hope you all have a great holiday. Thank you so much.